Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Well, let me just start by first thanking Microsoft for allowing the Anonymous Studies cabal to finally get together. We have been interacting on IRC back channels, smoky back rooms for a few number of years, studying Anonymous, and this is the first time actually we are meeting fully in person, so it's very exciting. So let me introduce folks and also tell you about the kind of metabolism of the panel. So Josh Corman is a cybersecurity researcher, strategist, philosopher, watching the emerging social impacts of social media and hacking culture. Brian Knappenberger is a filmmaker, and he's here because he is the director of a film called We Are Legion, the story of the hacktivists, which I really recommend, and it's online. He's also done a ton of other documentaries for PBS, National Geographic, Bloomberg, and many others. So Quinn Norton, as she let us know, is a skilled typist, but she's really better known for being quite an amazing journalist and I think an all-around sage in everything that concerns the digital. I'm currently the Wolf Chair in Scientific and Technological Literacy at McGill, but I'm most often confused as a first-year graduate student or a very mature undergraduate. So, all right, we're just going to begin. What we're going to do is, because we're all talking about the same phenomena, we're going to try to go back to back to back, although if people are getting too fidgety, we might take a break and open it up for the audience. I am going to start with an overview, a kind of, I often say Anonymous is like a kaleidoscope, and I'm going to move the kaleidoscope and give an introduction, but an unusual one. And then we're going to narrow the optic with the different presentations. So I'm just going to jump in. And my title is called The Aphorisms of Anonymous. So the aphorism is a fitting, one might say tailor-made genre to illuminate on the political significance of Anonymous. So why might this be? This genre refuses generalizations, systematicity, all the while providing pithy but very powerful intellectual flashes about the topic at hand. Anonymous, too, resists easy categorization and especially generalizations. But even as Anonymous is a fleeting army unwilling to yield to statistics and even sociological analysis, they provide momentary revelations of their logics delivered through flashes of art, digital tactics, and of course, stinging words. Like the broader mimetic culture and troll culture from which it emerged, Anonymous is quick to appear, circulate, submerge, and even vanish, but then rinse and repeat. So today I offer you an overview of Anonymous with the aid of the aphorism, especially those of Nietzsche, the Enlightenment's greatest troll, whose art, aside from brilliantly pissing everyone off at the time, was the aphorism, which Marshall McLuhan nicely defined as the fine art of crafting verbal hand grenades. So here's your first grenade. A subterranean man is at work, one who tunnels and mines and undermines, as though he perhaps desires this prolonged obscurity, desires to be incomprehensible, concealed, enigmatic, because he knows what he will thereby also acquire. Is it his own morning, his own redemption, his own daybreak? Anonymous are subterranean sorcerers whose art is to conjure spectacle. But unlike Debord's Society of the Spectacle, Anonymous has done so largely on their own terms. Their magic resides in their ability to exploit society's prevalent technical ignorance, which at times is amplified by the media. They are, as we know, hackers on steroids. And then, of course, the distributed denial of service attack is the equivalent of the thermonuclear cyber war. Many, of course, responsibly and accurately report on Anonymous. But as Quinn Norton brilliantly once put it in a Wired article, we tend to seize in and zero in on these types of tactics, and especially the figure of the hacker. And yet a great majority are actually not hackers, although Brian will focus on the hacker crews. Many in the media also crave for a leader, a compelling character. At minimum, give us a face. Anonymous rarely yields to these demands and laughs back. Eventually, though, the public gets what they want. For once the state enters the fray, and they have already, arrests are made and people are unmasked. And we get the story of the hacker hero, Jeremy Hammond, in jail, and the story of the anti-hero Sabu, the informant. But their sorcery is not simply duplicity born from our collective ignorance or distortions. There is something uncanny. There is something magical about Anonymous, and it is their birth as an uncivil activist political movement which arrests our attention and it captures the imagination. Aphorisms about the prank and the accident are now in order, for it is the prank that laid the groundwork for the weirdest accidental birth of activist politics possibly ever to exist. Nietzsche again. Maintaining cheerfulness in the midst of a gloomy task is no small feat. And yet what is needed more than cheerfulness? Nothing succeeds if prankishness has no part in it. Excess strength alone is proof of strength. The pleasures of recognizing the accidental are not to be confused with the pleasures of interpretation. Rather, they are a recognition of the point where power convulses itself. John Roberts from Cabinet Magazine. So I've been known to describe Anonymous as tricksters. This is so because Anonymous was, in the first instance, internet trolls from 4chan, intentional provocateurs who offend and prank simply for their own pleasures, for the lulz. In 2008, the Church of Scientology was quite upset after this video featuring Tom Cruise was leaked on the internet. I think most people know this story. The church unleashed their lawyers to sue publishers who posted on this, and Anonymous unleashed classic trolling techniques back at them. And by all precise estimates, it was the mothership instance of their trolling. They jammed Scientology websites, sent unpaid pizzas to organization headquarters, faxed nude body images to churches, and of course, relentless phone pranking of the Dianetics hotline. So as part of the trickery, they too released a video and declared war against the Church of Scientology. To invoke Nietzsche, Anons crafted the video for their own cheerfulness. It was earnest, but earnestly a joke. But their trickery was so crafty, they got swept by their own cunning. And if anyone knows trickster lore, this often happens to tricksters. They get ensnarled by their own tricks. So you see, although a joke, the video unexpectedly sparked a debate. Should Anons hit the streets to protest the church, or should they remain faithful to their madcap roots? Well, the answer came in a global day of protest on February 10th, 2008, held in over 127 cities. Over 7,000 participants showed up. And then this was the moment of transfiguration. A political movement was born. Soon after, unrelated nodes hatched, and many started to identify as bona fide activists, albeit with a transgressive twist. But they did not want to be gloomy in the midst of a gloomy task, politics. They kept the prank, the lulz, and integrated it in their activist arsenal. But there's more to their subterranean magic, and it lies in their predictable chaos, or is it their unpredictable logic? And Josh will be talking more about that. They may be hard to predict, but they're not, I think, pure chaos. They rise up for reasons. They're triggered into action, especially when civil liberties loom. But they make so many appearances: Zimbabwe, Tokyo, Quebec, Brazil, Philippines, Steubenville, and the internet. But their success is unpredictable even to them. Their world can be rather confusing. This much is already known. For every sensible line of straightforward statement, there are leagues of senseless cacophonies, verbal jumbles, and incoherencies. Anonymous screeches, sometimes it whispers, senseless cacophonies, verbal jumbles, and incoherencies. They weave multiple labyrinths. There's various IRC networks in existence. Anon Ops, Voxanon, Anon Set. Sometimes they're at war. Regional nodes are aplenty, Romania to India to Brazil. At times, participants are purposefully deceitful. If you break the law, you must be clandestine. Deceit can also be a tactic to coax headlines out of the media. They seek to expose state secrecy, but they keep their own secrets. and secrecy once accepted becomes an addiction, once said physicist Edward Teller, or at least a source of pleasure, as George Simmel so rightfully noted. They are not weapons of the weak, the phrase anthropologist James Scott uses to describe peasant politics, for the voiceless, oppressed actors do everything possible not to call attention to themselves. Their safety, claims James Scott, lies in their anonymity. And their politics are often not seen as politics, but in aggregate they are. Anonymous, on the other hand, are weapons of the geek. They're anonymous, but perpetually call attention to themselves. They rage against the machine, but they also lie deep in the machine. They're the makers and byproducts of informational capitalism. System administrators who fight spam so we can get our email, they're programmers who code software, and then there's those adept designers who are the contemporary makers and ministers of desire. These crafters might even poach time at work to work on their activism. But Anonymous also houses the bored, the disenchanted, the mad, the disabled, the merely curious, and of course the unknown. They've become multitudinous, numerous, and prolific. The collective power of the many, rather than the labor of one, defines their ethical way of being. They have shown us the virtue of opacity and illegibility. What you want is fame, then note the price. All claim to honor you must sacrifice. They shun the ruling ethic of the century, individual celebrity. It is frowned upon to seek public recognition, money, fame for your actions. Those who bear the self, that is, those who seek public status, are called out, at times chastised, at times kicked out. Here's an example from internet relay chat of someone being called out for their status-seeking behavior. Hey, B, can I say you really love attention and are just some wannabe? Wouldn't be surprised if you're some faggot fed, just like Sabu. The other person says, you can say whatever you like, A, but you're wrong. And A says back, you're just like this person on Twitter. And by sacrificing and effacing the self, it has helped their spread. A small fire demands constant tending. A bonfire can be let alone. A conflagration spreads. Taken globally, Anonymous has become a symbol for popular unrest, a way to channel via material tokens the deep disenchantment with a dictator, with a law, with an economy, with a culture of rape, basically with anything. But in North America and Europe, Anonymous has come to life as privacy and anonymity are rapidly eroding. The movement provides a rare countermeasure in deeds, words, and symbols against a world that encourages people to unmask their lives, where the internet remembers everything about us, where our histories are stored in search indexes and government databases at a time when the government's ability to surveil has grown exponentially. Anonymous challenges privacy, cheers for anonymity, but this may be nothing to celebrate. They are likely not to be our saviors for many reasons. While it's too early to divine, I sometimes think Anonymous is merely the party at the funeral of privacy and online freedoms. We will be small, scattered dark nets on the fringes of the internet after all is lost. But to finish on a slightly more uplifting note, I would like to end by juxtaposing two last aphorisms, one by Anonymous, and the quote comes from Brian's film. And then I will have Nietzsche close for us. And when I read the following one, think of an Irish accent, because it's an Irish accent. And anything like the Irish say, even if it's mundane, feels like very revolutionary. Yeah, it's like, go watch a movie. Oh my God, that will change my life. Anyways. Anonymous is an evolving thing. It's like a phoenix. It might occasionally catch fire and burn to the ground, but it will be reborn from ashes. Yes, I know from where I came, ever hungry like a flame, I consume myself in glow. Light grows, all that I conceive, ashes, everything I leave. Flame I am, assuredly. Thank you very much.